Hi there. Thanks so much for joining us on today's webinar, Save Money with Smarter Time Tracking in 2026. My name is Eric Vittardi, and today I'm going to be guiding you through our webinar discussing how we can improve efficiency, accuracy, save time, money, and effort, all with a mobile time tracking solution named WorkMax. I'm going to be guiding you through today's webinar where we're going to be talking specifically about WorkMax, which is a mobile-friendly, construction-specific time tracking solution for your team out in the field. Before we dive in, I just want to mention a few housekeeping items for you guys to review. All attendees are going to be in listen-only mode. If you do have questions, however, we'd love to hear from you. Please mention them in the chat box over there, up in the top right here. You should be able to see that there. We'll get to as many questions as we can at the end of the presentation. But if you don't get any questions answered, or if we're not able to get to your questions, feel free to email me or contact me directly. We're going to be able to present that to you later in the presentation as well, too. And then the recorded version of this presentation will be provided a day or two after for you guys to review at your leisure. But we look forward to connecting with you after this in any way that you need. Just give us a shout and we'd be happy to help. But other than that, let's get started. So what are we going to cover here today? There's a lot that we have in Foundation's product portfolio. So I'll give you a brief overview of some other considerations that you guys might want to think about as you continue to improve your processes in the field and in the back office. But really what we're going to focus on is how accurate data can save you money. We're going to do a little WorkMax overview to show you how the solution works, how this is going to look and feel for your team, a couple of features and things like that. We're going to focus specifically on the time component of WorkMax, how we're tracking and managing time, how you can use that data associated with that time, both in the field and how your crews, your field supervisors, managers, things like that can also utilize that data as well. We'll go through a whole demo of that. We'll do a wrap up as well, so that way you guys can ask questions. We can talk about some next steps if you guys did want to address some of those items as well too. With that being said, I did mention Foundation Software has continued to expand its product portfolio into a number of different items. Obviously, we have Foundation Software, which is the accounting platform, which is kind of the flagship product. It's great for all specialty trades, GCs, what have you. It's a really good place for you to manage and track all of the data and critical key data points that are important for you managing your business. Addition, there's going to be WorkMax, which we're going to be talking about today, which obviously can track and manage time. We can do asset and equipment tracking. We can do forms. We can even get into asset or insights and productivity tracking through there as well. We have a full HQ suite, which is a fantastic way for us to track project management solutions, HR-related items, safety-related items, scheduling, even executive reporting. We have Payroll for Construction, which is a great solution for you to track and manage your payroll for your team. Outsource that to our team. Let us issue the checks, pay direct deposits, taxes, file those things on your behalf, and simplify your back office with one click of the button. And then we have some estimating solutions. That would be either McCormick or Estimating Edge, depending on what makes the most sense for you and your team. McCormick and Estimating Edge are both specialty estimating solutions for electrical, mechanical, and plumbing on the McCormick side, and then on estimating concrete, fireproofing, roofing, interior walls, ceilings, interior and exterior finishing. So how does accurate field data save you money? Well, as many of you know, labor is oftentimes the largest cost associated with running a construction business. Even small inaccuracies can add up quickly and compound over the course of a project, a week, a month, a year, and create large numbers at the end of the year that you're wasting by 5-10 minutes a day on inaccuracies in employee time. Now, those are oftentimes considered hidden leaks, but many times you might be aware that some of that time is not fully accurate for you and your team. So being on top of that by tracking and managing that time in the field is really critical to stop tens, even hundreds of thousands of dollars of leakage on employee costs. Additionally with this, not only are you talking about regular time, when we get into overtime and compliance related items, if we're not tracking time appropriately for the regular hours that you're getting into, it might bleed into and create exponential issues related to the overtime costs. So I know sometimes you're limited on who can work certain jobs and your best resources may not be available. And some of that may be because you're not tracking and managing time appropriately and you're getting into that overtime faster than you should be. And then additionally with that, chasing down time cards, correcting spreadsheets, redoing time. There's a huge administrative burden with running payroll every week. If you can get a solution that dials that in for you, eliminates those inaccuracies, gets that payroll run faster, your team gets paid quicker, you can track and manage where you're at on the project faster as far as hours and costs, things along those lines. So the administrative portion is a huge component that we're going to be able to hopefully either reduce or almost completely eliminate with our WorkMax solution here today. And with that said, let's take a look at the app and see what options that we have available for our employees to clock in or clock out. You'll notice here, Arthur Cashman is ready to begin his day, and his screen is very simple, straightforward, and easy to collect. Now I'm on an iPad. This is a little bit of a larger device, but any iPhone, tablet, whatever other item you might be using would be simple and easy at this process as well. But for Arthur, his screen's really simple. He only has the option to clock in or clock out. Once he hits clock in, it's going to show Arthur his face up in the top left. It's going to have the option for Arthur's name right here, his job, and then we're going to require a cost code for Arthur. We can limit what options he had based on the job, based on his employee group, a number of factors that will limit either his cost code or task, whatever you might call it. And all of this information, whether it's the cost code, the employee, or the job, is all coming from your accounting software. So it's simple and easy to use, it's seamlessly integrated, and makes this process very simple for your employees. Now you'll see, we have Arthur's name, we got the job, we have the cost code information. There's no notes necessary for Arthur. We're just going to go ahead and clock in. Great. And it's as simple as that. We've created a clock in record. Throughout this process now, Arthur will go ahead and work throughout his normal day. Arthur's been working for a minute and a half, a minute and some change now. He's ready to call it a day. He's had a long day and he's ready to clock out. So we'll hit clock out. Again, we've limited this now. We just have Arthur's name, just a note. I have a time review portion here, so this is a good area for Arthur to clock in and manage this time review. He can sign off on this showing that he's completed his time record. He hits save, confirm, and Arthur's done. It's really that simple and easy. That's the simplest and easiest way to collect information from your team's field. All of this is going to go into the time editor, which we're going to look at here in a moment. But from that perspective, it's pretty straightforward. We don't want to add any complexity to your employees' clock in or clock out process. And while I'm doing this on my own individual iPad, this can be done from a shared device. This can be done, again, from an Android, tablet, whatever your team might be using in the field. Now I'll show you one other option here in case maybe I'm a foreman or something along those lines that wants to gather time for a group of employees. I have the ability right here to go ahead and hit Create Timesheet. Great. Simply hit Create Time. I can select all the employees from my group. I'm just going to select a couple of these folks here just as an example. Fantastic. Great. I can add any allocations such as jobs, cost codes, things along those lines. But in this case, I want to go ahead and save that record. I have all of my employees' time in here in real time. So if I did need to make a change, let's say Greg Hamilton in this case, he only worked 7 hours, he showed up a little bit later, whatever that might be, I can make those changes inline directly on my device. I can also select multiple employees. I can make edits to potentially their cost code, their job, whatever that might be. These folks might have been working on a different cost code for the day. I can highlight those pretty simply and easily here. I can also sign off on a number of employees as a foreman or a crew leader here as well too. So all my options are in one place, pretty simple and straightforward. We may not allow this to be accessible for all your employees in the field. This is typically done by foremen or crew leaders. But again, it just shows the simplicity of time collection from whoever that may be, foreman, crew leader, or whoever that is on the team. So that was the phone portion of things. Let's go ahead and take a look over at the time editor where we're going to review all the time that was collected from the field and make edits, adjustments, reviews as necessary before this goes into our payroll or accounting software. So here you'll see our time editor. In my display screen, we're using a couple different tablets and devices here today, but you'll see some basic icons such as tags, total hours, first, last name, job, cost code, pay code, sign-offs, and some other things like that. This is completely editable, as you'll notice on the left-hand side, so we can get the items that are most important to you. This is very configurable based on the type of work you do and what's important and what we're tracking. Additionally, in the background, we'll get into some settings and things like that where we can get in here and see what's important to us, notify us if somebody's working too many hours in a day, set up scheduled lunches, per diems, overtimes, things like that. But we'll see that in just a moment. What I'd like to call your attention here to right now is you'll see my name, my job, what have you. And on the left-hand side, these tags are going to indicate anything that falls outside of our normal parameters or ranges, really anything that needs attention as part of that time review. So you'll see here there's a red globe. That's going to indicate that our GPS recognition experienced a failure or something that was outside the boundaries. But I'll go ahead on here and take a look and see this GPS map. So I can see that my job is located here somewhere in Utah. But my geofence was about 1,500 miles away, so not at the job site. I can see if I zoom in really specifically exactly where I was when I clocked in and when I clocked out. And for those of you that are familiar with Foundation Software's headquarters, this is exactly where I was at when I did my clock in, clock out. This is where my office is actually at technically, so this is very specific, within a couple of meters or feet most of the time, to give you an idea of what we're looking for. But the idea here is this red icon is going to show only things that really need attention. So rather than having to look at every GPS location or coordinates or what have you, this is going to highlight the issues that need more attention, potentially may need to be resolved by you or an administrator. You'll see some other notes as we look at the time here, namely notes. We can see sign-offs by employees, crew leaders, who signed off on that and when. We can go ahead and see some facial recognition examples as well. So I passed this facial recognition. That's why we didn't get an alert on this. But you will see, although it's a rough look here, that it's still 99.99% accurate. So this is confirming that this is who we say it is and who we need. Again, only grabbing our attention on the left-hand side if and when we get a failure. So you don't have to look at these each and every time. Any forms that the employee may have included, any exemptions related to lunches or things along those lines would be included in this part as well too. And then from here, I can go ahead and review. I can allocate and make changes to jobs, cost codes, trades, classification, tasks, whatever they may be in your timekeeping software. And then from here, I would simply hit batch. And this would head off onto my accounting software. There's no duplicate entry of time cards. There's no potential errors in doing that duplicate entry. There's a whole bunch of time that's saved as part of that process as well too. So you have a lot of options. And that's really as simple as it is. All of this time can be reviewed by employee, department, job, employee group, whoever you might need to get in here, make these reviews, accesses, and reviews. You have all in one place. Additionally, as I go in here, you'll notice we do have a full grid timesheet for those that are doing some larger jobs. This doesn't apply to everybody, but if you were getting into a situation in which you wanted to clock in a whole group of employees for the day, you could. And I'll go ahead and do that. You'll see some quick examples here based on employee. You can go ahead and select what cost codes they're working, how many hours, and just make those selections simply and easily. And then finally, I'll take us over to the settings area where we can review just a couple of things. There's a lot of areas that we can get into from a configurations and setting perspective. So certainly, if you do have questions, if you work, complicated prevailing wage, or if you have overtime rules or things like that that you want to make sure that WorkMax can handle, number one, I'm pretty confident in saying we probably can. The system's been around a long time. We work specifically in construction, so any type of headache that you might run into, any type of concern you might have on the job site, generally speaking, we've seen it and we've solved for it. But that being said, again, after this call, we'd love to set up a personalized demo or, drop that in the questions below at this time right now. But this just gives us a couple of quick examples where we can set up perimeters, defaults, let us know, hey, alert us if somebody exceeds a certain amount of hours on a job site, or, for the geofencing, we want to set up some defaults, or we just want to use the address and build it around that each time. Again, a lot of settings that we can get into here. That includes a lot of things such as overtime rules and how we can apply them, per diems, pay codes, things along those lines as well too. And then the last thing I'll probably leave you here with in the settings area would be something like a shift, right? Again, this is fairly complicated. Maybe you don't deal with shifts that often, but this is granular enough that we can handle a first shift employee, a second shift employee. We can handle the float related to that shift. And then we can even set up different lunch parameters. There's 6 different ways to do lunch in here. If you don't want your group clocking in and clocking out, that's great. We have the ability to monitor that lunch in here as we go. We can set that up to be automated. You know, if they work 4 hours, they get a 30-minute lunch, or, you know, apply that at noon every day, or, you know, maybe at the end of the day or after a certain amount of hours. I only highlight this to just show you the kind of detail that we can get into when we're doing these types of demonstrations and setting these types of things up. You're not in here on a daily basis. You're not even in here probably on a weekly or monthly basis. But it's just really highlighting that whatever complexities or nuances you may have to your payroll, WorkMax is there, and WorkMax is ready to handle it for you from there. So that's pretty much all we have on this time editor section. Again, this will get batched off, sent over to your accounting, and it is ready to go so you can run payroll and process it while saving a whole bunch of time and effort. Well, thanks everyone for listening and watching a little bit today. Obviously, that's only a very small portion of what WorkMax can do, but we just want to give you an idea of how WorkMax timekeeping can help your team track and manage their time, and a whole bunch of other processes such as production and other items from the field. So I know some of you have already sent in some questions. I can see those coming along on the right-hand side here too. But if you do have any questions, now's a great time to enter those in the chat box, and we can take a look at those questions right now. Cool. And thank you guys very much. So we got some more questions popping in here. Let's see. See a few here as we go. For Krista's question, can an employee switch a job or cost code without having to sign in or sign out? They cannot. There's a situation in which if they do have questions or need to change a cost code or something along those lines, we need to know when that time is going to hit. So if it does happen at a particular moment, we need to know when that time is going to change from one to the next. Can you check in and check out numerous times a day for different jobs? That's a question by John. Yes, you can. So you can check in and check out for different jobs. Most of the time, if you're just going to be changing from one job to the next, you would just hit check in. You don't need to check out unless it's going to be a stop and pay. So if there is a situation in which somebody is going to say like clock out for a lunch that they're not paid for, or they're done as a whole too, that would be a situation in which you clock out. But for just changing cost codes, just changing jobs, that's just an easy clock in button. We want to limit as many touches as we can to really simplify that process for them too. So yes, that either way, to kind of both your question, John and Krista, to both of those as you go. No limitations. That happens all the time. We have a lot of people obviously switching from job to job or switching from cost code. One thing that didn't really come in here, and I think Robert is actually asking something similar here too, like ride time or drive time. That's a really common situation in which you might need to change somebody's cost code or what they clock in or clock out for. So yeah, if somebody clocks in for the day, hey, I'm starting at drive time. Great, you can do that. We can limit like the GPS and things like that on stuff like drive time too, or by jobs, or who has access to drive time too. So exceptionally customizable, not uncommon for us to see that as we go too. But yeah, switching cost codes, switching jobs, very common, all part of the standard usage. I would be shocked if we had anybody that kind of didn't really run into those types of situations. Let's see. Any other question? Okay, so I got another question from Melinda. I think Melinda here. So Melinda is asking, how would Melinda, I'm kind of going to repackage this question for you, asking about licensing and how this works. So we'll charge you per seat, right? So obviously in construction, we expect, a lot of turnover, seasonal work, what have you too. So it's a monthly seat license. If there is a situation in which, I don't know, you have, I'm using a round number here, 30 employees to start the month, and then 10 of them left, and then you replace them with another 10. We don't really care like who those individuals are. We just care about like the total seats. So like seats on a bus, as long as you got a seat for everybody, that's all that we really care about. That's all that kind of really matters from there too. Can the supervisor review, edit, or process via a computer rather than a tablet or a phone? Yes. There's a whole bunch of options that we have here. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but maybe I'll go back and share my screen a second here. Let's see if I can do that. I'll do this quickly. And again, these are good questions that would be good for like a personalized demo, what have you too. But oftentimes we do see supervisors get in and review time collectively. I don't know if it's going to let me share this, so I might not be able to. But yeah, you can. Oh yeah, I may here. So let's see. Yeah, it's not uncommon for supervisors to come into a screen like this, review time. You can have different levels of approval. So I have like a manager, an employee, and sign off one. So if you did want them to approve that time, you can kind of see where they sit on that. You can also go in there and actually sign off on that as part of that time card too. So this one's kind of a goofy example, but if I did want to sign off on that or show the time card signature as I go from here too, those are all options. So you can do different layers of approval. As I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, these columns are fully customizable. So even if you had more layers of approval built in there from like a sign off to or something like that, you can add those in there as well too. I'll stop sharing. I don't know if that's going to go back to my screen. Jen, I apologize. I kind of went off script there to show you that, so we don't have much of a screen here too. But if you guys do have any, thank you, Jen. If you guys have any additional questions, again, would love to connect for an individual presentation. Shoot me an email. My contact information is right down there at the bottom on here as well too. Happy to help with any of that kind of stuff. Shoot me an email, give me a call, and we can go from there. But with that, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate you taking your lunch hour or your early afternoon, late morning time to learn a little bit more about WorkMax. Again, great time to implement this, especially when a lot of folks are a little bit slower. This is our busiest time of year between November through March too. So good time to be looking at it. If you do need anything else, just give me a shout and I'll be happy to connect with you soon. So thanks so much. Appreciate everyone's time today and have a wonderful day.